for-profit colleges closing. How are students affected? We'll look into Caterpillar's plans to expand in the region, Tucson Medical Center efforts to reduce healthcare costs, and Tucson high schoolers working to stem addiction in Arizona. This is Metro Week. Four of the private for-profit colleges in Tucson have closed or will do so by the end of the academic year. What challenges and options does that leave for students? First, the news.
Arizona Governor Rose Mofford died this week at 94 years old. The Globe native was the first woman in Arizona to hold that job. Governor Mofford worked in state government for 50 years, beginning as a secretary after graduating from high school. She was elected Secretary of State in 1978, a position she held for 10 years until she replaced impeached Governor Evan Mecham. She did not run for a full term in 1990. There are just a few weeks left in this year's monsoon. Forecasters with the National Weather Service in Tucson say the rainfall from the monsoon has been pretty good this year. Hurricane Newton swept across the area earlier this month, making up for a hit-and-miss July and August. No significant rain is forecast for the next few days, but there could still be more to come. The monsoon officially ends September 30th. The federal government granted the Tohono O'odham Nation nearly $3 million for affordable housing projects. The money is part of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's grant program to Native American communities. A total of $56 million in grants have been awarded nationwide this year. The unemployment rate went down last month for the first time since March. The state reports the August rate was 5.8%, down from 6% in July. Most of the job gains were in the public sector, with teachers and other school workers back on the job after summer vacation. For more on all of the week's top news, visit our website at news.azpm.org.
Last week, ITT Education Services, the company that owns ITT Technical Institutes, closed all of its 130 campuses across the country, including one in Tucson. Vanessa Barchfield has that story.
The move came after the U.S. Department of Education banned ITT Tech from enrolling new students who use federal financial aid, saying it had serious concerns about the company's administrative capacity, finances, recruitment tactics, graduation and job placement rates, and its overall ability to serve students. It's the fourth for-profit college to announce plans to shutter campuses in Tucson this year. In January, the Art Institute of Tucson said it would stop enrolling new students. That was followed by Brown Mackie College in June, and a month later, Tucson College made a similar announcement. Those colleges will stay open until current students either complete their degrees or transfer to other institutions. ITT Tech, on the other hand, shut down entirely, leaving around 40,000 students across the country and several hundred students at its Tucson campus in limbo. Pima Community College is reaching out to ITT Tech's displaced students, but neither it nor the University of Arizona can accept transfer credits because of restrictions from their accrediting agency. The Department of Education has said that students whose credits don't transfer can apply to have their student loans discharged.
Vanessa Barchfield joins us now in the studio. Vanessa, what did you hear from students about how they got notice of this closure?
Actually, they didn't really get any notice at all. I spoke with one woman, Chelsea Allen, whose husband, Paul, was signed up to start a course this past Monday. They found out over Facebook that ITT Tech had closed.
The school didn't tell them anything?
No communication.
Oh, wow. I can't imagine what that would be like. Yeah. So how are they regrouping from finding this out on Facebook?
The Allen family, I think that they're pretty representative of a lot of students that are in this situation. Paul Allen had spent the past 10 years in the military, got out in July, and was looking for a course to apply his GI Bill benefits to. They looked around. Chelsea, his wife, said that ITT Tech seemed like the best fit. He enrolled in an electrical engineering course and was looking forward to starting on September 12th. Then, of course, last week rolled around, the news that ITT Tech shut, and it really leaves them in a bit of a bind. I mean, not only is the sort of future of his sort of education up in the air, but they were also planning on using the GI Bill benefits to pay for housing this year. So they, not only do they not know what's going on, they have some really immediate worries about how they're going to pay their bills.
And that's a family of four.
Yeah, exactly. They have 2 kids.
So there's more depending on it than just the parents.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that the credits from these schools, the people who already have some credits, unlike Paul, don't transfer to Pima and the U of A. So what are their options in terms of enrollment this fall in new programs?
The credits will transfer to other for-profit colleges, but of course that landscape is really limited now in Tucson. And not all of credits will transfer anyway, even to those institutions. If students at ITT Tech want to transfer to Pima or the U of A, they're going to have to basically start from scratch.
This semester has already started at both of those schools.
Yeah, exactly. So the timing was pretty much terrible. I mean, it couldn't have been worse. Of course, at Pima started just a few weeks ago. Chelsea Allen was saying that her husband, would have been looking into courses there had he had some notice or some information from ITT Tech that the semester wouldn't be going on. I spoke with Libby Howell, who's the spokesperson from Pima, and she said that, that is true, but there's a glimmer of hope for these students. Pima does have courses that start at different points in the semester, and they are eligible for the GI Bill benefits. So students that are looking should actually get in touch with Pima.
And we're talking mostly about ITT Tech because that's the one that just completely shut down on Monday. But I just want to review that the other schools you mentioned, Brown Mackie, Tucson College, and the Art Institute, they're, for the most part, letting students finish the programs they're already enrolled in, or just the semester?
Right, those schools are actually letting students finish the degree program or transfer to another college. ITT Tech, on the other hand, just shut its doors. So really students are left with no options there.
Whether they were mid-degree or just starting, it's all the same.
Exactly.
Okay. And then financial aid. I mean, you mentioned the Allen situation. What about loans and other ways of paying for these schools that don't exist anymore or won't exist?
If credits won't transfer to another program, the Department of Education is saying that the federal loans will be discharged. So that is a positive sort of element in all of this. But students who have just paid out of pocket, and haven't taken out any federal loans are really just out.
And then you mentioned the GI Bill situation, which can cover other expenses,
Exactly.
or other loans can sometimes cover other expenses. So we've mentioned Pima and the U of A as the public schools.
Yeah.
What other private colleges are still open at this point in the Tucson area?
Right. So like I mentioned, the landscape for private for-profit colleges has really changed in the last year. Currently still enrolling students are the Southwest University of Visual Arts. The University of Phoenix has a small campus in Tucson and obviously a big online course offering, and Carrington College. I should note, though, that both Carrington College, which is owned by the DeVry Education Group, and the University of Phoenix are also sort of under investigation right now. So we'll see what the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Education come up with in regards to those schools.
Thanks for that update, Vanessa. Moving now from education to construction, heavy construction equipment manufacturer Caterpillar announced in May that it would move some of its operations to Tucson. This week, the company's vice president for surface mining and technology was here to share more about how the company made its decision.
So first, a little bit about what's coming to Tucson. What is the Surface Mining and Technology Group? First of all, if you think about Caterpillar as basically 3 big businesses. One is energy and transportation. That's kind of our rail division, solar division, gas turbines. It's in the marine, the electric power generation. So that's one chunk of Caterpillar. The other chunk of Caterpillar is construction industries. That's where you'd see our small building construction products, excavators, earth-moving equipment. And the third part of Caterpillar is what we call resource industries. And that is largely mining. There's a part of quarry in that. And so part of that group is what I have, which is surface mining and technology. So it's an end-to-end business. We try to drive it as much as possible that way to be kind of nimble. So it's a combination of the manufacturing plants, and we're a worldwide organization with 6 global manufacturing plants. Includes all of our product development and also our sales and support. And we've got people located in 25 countries. We're about 4,000 folks. Unfortunately, it used to be a lot bigger than that as we adjust to, I know many people here deal with the mining group, or the mining downturn. We need to start to bring more parts of our business together. We'd been a little siloed, and I don't think we had the type of setup to drive that connectivity that we think is necessary to be successful in this kind of next phase. So on the technology side, we used to run, I'd say, in almost like a project mentality. We'd have a group sitting working on autonomous drilling. We'd have a group over here working on command for hauling. We'd have a separate group working on that mine star that you saw on this. And we said, no, let's bring that group together. So that was kind of step one, to operate as a group. And then each of over time, just because of the way Caterpillar grew and because we'd done acquisitions, our product groups were all scattered. And so, in essence, the simple reason is why we're doing this is we want to bring these scattered groups together in one place, bring them close to mining, so you're in that atmosphere. Same time with closer to your customers. And honestly, having the Tucson Proving Grounds here was a big piece of it. So it's not just designing the product, that's where you're doing the validation of the product and touching it. But it's really for us to be prepared over these next several years to serve our customers. Why Tucson, out of all this? And, let me give you a couple views from my end on this. First we made this decision, separate from location, that we needed to bring these groups together. Then it moved to the decision of where's the best place. So some of them we've already talked about, which are kind of clear. Putting it in mining country made sense. There was an advantage in terms of the Tucson Proving Grounds and how we go there. But I'll tell you, as we went into the process, a couple things really stuck out that we underappreciated, and I would suggest actually became the turning points in our decision. First of all, I'd say is there was a fear of, what's the talent base going to be here? And because when you plant something like this isn't a 5-year decision. This is a multi-generation decision. And you really think about businesses and all this stuff with product and all that. I mean, that's really not your competitive advantage. Your competitive advantage is your people and the talent pipeline that you're going to be able to do. Anything that you create is really driven off of your people side. So in the end, was Tucson the place that we were going to be able to attract, retain, and bring a competitive advantage with respect to the people? And we walked away very impressed, and that became a big decision maker. Part of that is the community here. Part of that is the great education that we have, Arizona State, Arizona, Community College. All of that is part of it. We underestimated that coming in. I'd say, the second aspect really was how well and collaborative, the organizations were across the governmental side and the private side. Early in my career at Caterpillar, I was involved in new manufacturing site selections. I was this young guy that used to go around. I couldn't tell anyone what my name was. I was like a Fortune 500 metalworking guy, and I'd go visit these communities. And so I've had a sense to interact with that in a pretty granular manner. And I don't know if I'd say what the reputation of Arizona was. I wasn't quite sure. It was a little bit gray as to how receptive in terms of the business environment, how much it was going to work. And I'll tell you, we came in and it was amazing. And I think, the speed, responsiveness, how well all different levels of the organizations work together. So I'd say as you talk about laying, the groundwork for the future, I don't think there's anything that's more important than that. And honestly, I think that became the single most important deciding factor for us.
Now an update on an effort to make healthcare better and cheaper in southern Arizona. 2 years ago, Tucson Medical Center joined Arizona Connected Care with a goal of driving down healthcare costs. The organization helps coordinate care among a patient's doctors and shares records to ease transitions from one provider to another to improve care and avoid unnecessary treatment. Data show the organization has lowered costs and improved healthcare. Here to tell us more, Rhonda Barchfield of Tucson Medical Center and Daniel McCabe of Arizona Connected Care. Thanks to both of you for coming in. And Rhonda, I just want to start by kind of establishing more of what Arizona Connected Care is. How does it differ from, say, just my doctor having electronic records, or what does the consumer need to understand?
So Arizona Connected Care is an accountable care organization, and that is a model that is driven to improve patient outcomes, to improve efficiency of healthcare, and to improve the overall outcomes and experience of patients. So our doctors are on electronic medical records. As a hospital, we share the same patients, whether they're in a primary care or a specialist, we all share the same bucket. And so what we want to do is be able to communicate more efficiently with each other and make sure that there aren't any gaps in care. From a larger picture, why consumers should care is that TMC was very concerned for, and remains concerned about the trajectory of healthcare spending, and it's very important to make sure that healthcare is sustainable for generations to come, and this is a mechanism and a vehicle by which to do that.
And from the doctor point of view, how is it different from an insurance company?
At the present time, Arizona Connected Care does not take risks like an insurance company. We just work from shared savings. Also, we don't pay claims, do the marketing that an insurance company does. We do what's called the medical cost ratio, which is about 85% of the premium goes into medical costs, and that's what we work on.
Then from a patient's perspective, does a patient know if their doctor is part of this? Would a patient be impacted by it directly?
On our website, we show which physicians are there. It will be totally transparent to the patient. They won't see the difference in the care, because our job is to become efficient and effective, not to deny care.
So more that back-end management of how the care happens.
Correct.
Okay. Rhonda mentioned the trajectory of healthcare costs. What is the data showing about that at this point?
Our most recent 2015 results showed that we bent the cost curve in the future of healthcare costs. Our savings rate was 8.3%, and our quality scores were 94%.
Tell me more about that savings rate. What does that mean?
That is the amount of savings we achieved over a projected budget. So if our budget was $10 million, we saved 8.3% on that. And then that goes into a pool of shared savings with CMS.
That's the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
Correct. And CMS retains half of it, and Arizona Connected Care gets half of it based on its quality scores. So we got 94% of the theoretical $2.5 million. And that's used to reinvest in our practices so that they can become even more efficient and more effective.
What's an example of that reinvestment?
Care coordination and analytics.
To a regular person, what does that mean?
Okay, I was going to say that. So the practices then have care coordinators so that when a patient is admitted to the hospital, they can follow them immediately upon discharge, do what we call warm handoffs so the practice knows exactly where the patient is, how they're doing, may call them on a daily basis to make sure that there's no problems. If there are problems, intercede early so the patient doesn't have to be readmitted. On the analytics side, there's a tremendous amount of data we learned from the claims resources and the claims management that we see. And from that, we're able to do analytic management to figure out how to save money, for example, using a $800 a year drug versus an $8,000 a year drug that has the same outcome.
Why is this so successful?
I think it's really a group effort. It's our partners, the primary care physicians in Arizona Connected Care work very hard, but TMC is very committed to revamping how healthcare is done in the future. And then United Healthcare has also given us a tremendous amount of data and information on how to improve our quality and cut our costs.
I just wanted to interject on the quality piece because that is an important piece, and a 94% is impressive. And we all remember when the airlines were streamlining, and the next thing you knew, you didn't have pillows, you didn't have pretzels, and you felt that a little bit. And in the healthcare system, it's not amenities, it's key services that we're giving to people. So it's really important to us that people can't feel that they have less care or less quality care. They really have to feel like we're doing a great job for them and for their outcomes.
Why is TMC choosing to be part of this?
Again, because we share the same patients, and we have actually seen some improvements in our patient care. Our Medicare readmission rates have gone down to 14.7%. That's lower than the state at 16%, and lower than the federal at 18.6%.
And what is that Medicare readmission?
When Medicare patients leave the hospital, there's a window of time that we hope that we don't see them again. Because if we can keep people out of the hospital, that definitely saves on healthcare costs. So we've seen that, and we're very pleased with that. And again, it's what Dan referred to with that warm handoff, making sure that people are following up with that patient. Were they able to get in to see their primary care doctor? Were they able to refill their prescriptions, making sure they don't fall through the cracks?
It's really a cultural thing. The physicians are looking to do healthcare in new, more inventive, effective, and efficient methods, and TMC has the same values. We really make it a patient-centered organization, not a hospital-centric organization.
You've got about 3 years of data that you were citing. How will this scale up when we see more years of data? How will this change over the years?
Well, I think as we become more successful, CMS wants us to take more and more risk, become more and more like an insurance company. In markets where there's success in that, healthcare entities will do very well. Those who are disinterested and more interested in becoming too big to fail will fail.
For patients who may see this and find an interest in it, how could they sort of prod their doctor to get involved? Is that an option?
Well, there's two ways. One, they can go to our website to see our list of physicians. There are other organizations in the Tucson area that are getting started on their accountable care organizations. And then just to prod your doctor to say, what are you doing?
And I just wanted to add, Dan, that from TMC's perspective, it's very exciting to see these numbers coming in because it does show that there is not a dichotomy between high quality, effective care and efficient care, and that those two really can coincide, and that this is the direction for the future to make healthcare more sustainable so that there's a safety net and stability for generations to come.
Thanks to both of you for being here today.
Thanks.
Now we turn to another health story. Governor Doug Ducey wants to reduce substance abuse among the state's youth and is starting an after-school pilot program. The target audience is 7th graders and their families, aimed at preventing them from using drugs, cigarettes, and alcohol. It's among many social issues the governor's Youth Commission is also working on. I talked last week with 2 high school students who are part of the group. Joining me now are 2 Pima County members of the Governor's Youth Commission, Susan Hong and Meena Venkataramanan. Thank you both for joining me. And let's start, Meena, with having you tell us what the Governor's Youth Commission does.
The Governor's Youth Commission is a diverse group of around 51 commissioners, and we represent all 15 counties in Arizona. And what we do is we work to address the most critical issues facing youth today.
You are the 2 Pima County representatives. So, Susan, why did you want to be on the commission?
I chose to be on the commission because I felt that I really wanted to learn to take an initiative, and I wanted to be in a group of people that also wanted to do the same things that I wanted to do, and that's basically take an initiative and know exactly what the problems are and learn exactly how we should fix it or what the process is in order to fix it.
I definitely agree with Susan. Just being around motivated individuals who have the same concern for issues that I do is very inspiring, and I feel like together we can achieve a lot, and that's what we've been doing.
You have specific roles on the commission. Meena, you're the substance abuse chair. What does that mean, and what do you do?
And we work to alleviate youth substance abuse in Arizona, and because we represent different counties, we have a really broad understanding of what that's like in Arizona. We set goals for the year based on what we want to accomplish, and then we work to accomplish that. Things we've done in the past include public service announcements that were broadcasted on television. We've spearheaded campaigns that were sponsored by the National Institute on Drug Abuse. So we've done a lot of campaigns and social media type activities to spread awareness.
Were you able to choose which subcommittee you would be on?
Yes. In fact, my essay that I wrote to get on the Governor's Youth Commission was about substance abuse. So naturally, that was the issue that I was most concerned about.
And you're in your 2nd term on the commission. Have you been working on that issue the whole time?
Yes, I was on the committee last year, and this year I was promoted to chairperson.
And Susan, you're secretary of the whole commission,
Yes.
correct? So what does that entail?
I've learned to take a leadership position within the actual, the entire commission, along with the president and the vice president, as well as taking notes during the meetings and during the call meetings. Besides that, I'm in the bullying committee.
So what are you working on there?
We take the initiative to raise the awareness of bullying and tell people that there are 3 roles that you can have when it comes to a bullying situation. There's the victim, there's the actual bullier, and then there's the bystander. And we always emphasize that the bystander is the strongest person in any given bullying situation. And so we want to be able to spread that word to people, saying, if you're going to be a bystander, be a good bystander by telling the bullier to stop, telling the bully to stop, and that you actually have a voice and you have the power to say that. And that by you saying that, you're not also becoming a victim, but you're becoming a hero. So we're telling people that bullying, you think it's something that is very cheesy, something that only happens on TV and things like that, but it's not true. It actually happens in real life. It's happened to me, which is why I'm so passionate about the subject and which is why I really like being on that committee. There's a lot more to it in the real world than what people think, and we really want, especially other youth, to know that.
We have seen these issues in action in our community. That's why we're so motivated. Just like Susan mentioned with bullying, youth substance abuse is something that I've definitely witnessed in my community. I know how it impacts people around me. I volunteer at organizations like Pima County Teen Court diversion programs where I'm exposed to these issues constantly, and that really drove me and Susan to take initiative and be on this commission.
You come across as real leaders among your age group, so what have you learned from the other leaders that you're serving with?
Respect and tolerance for different opinions, because we're so diverse and we come from different counties. Some of us live in urban areas, others live in rural areas. I've seen how substance abuse is, honestly, it's universal, and it occurs in different communities, and because of that, I've heard different experiences from different people. And with the adult leaders that I work with, it's a very inspiring experience because they do so much for our state and they work with the governor and the governor's office. So it's really great to be able to interact firsthand with government leaders.
There's really no limit on how far you can go with things, because for me, before I joined GYC, my limit, what I thought my limit was just raising awareness at school. But not everyone goes to my school, and not everyone just hangs out with people from their one school. And so I really learned that there's other ways you can establish communications with nonprofit organizations that also want to raise awareness of the same things you want to raise awareness. And having other leaders from different counties who are really spreading information and fairly quickly, because everyone's going back to their own schools and saying, hey, spread awareness of this. Hey, this is what we're planning on doing. Join in on the cause. They all start spreading the information to all of their friends, and all the information gets shared exponentially, and everyone starts to know, setting new trends as to what's exactly safer and what's exactly the right thing to do.
Social media is a big part of that. Because we are so spread out, we're interconnected through social media, and we use platforms like Twitter and Facebook to spread campaigns, and we've really reached a broad audience through that.
Thank you both so much for coming in and sharing your experiences. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
That's it for us. Next week, we'll begin our look at candidates on the November ballot. We leave you now with an excerpt of an Arizona Illustrated story by Tony Paniagua about an ambitious and beautiful way to see this state. Thanks for watching.
In a state known for nothing but deserts, we have many good secrets.
Really is a gem to have it here.
We're at the U.S.-Mexico border on the Arizona National Scenic Trail. This is Border Monument 102, and it marks the southern terminus of the Arizona Trail. From here, trail users can go 800 miles all the way from Mexico to Utah. It doesn't all look like this, though. There's a variety of different environments that you'll see. You'll see everything from grasslands to giant saguaro cactus to the largest ponderosa pine forest in the entire world, and cross rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, crown jewel of the Arizona Trail, before reaching Utah.
We built good, sustainable trail. We provide trailheads and access, but really the experiences that people have out there are their own. Whether they're hiking or running or mountain biking or horseback riding, they get to experience like a raw, beautiful side of Arizona that they probably wouldn't see otherwise.
Well, I grew up in Colorado, so I enjoyed the mountains there. Moved to Florida and it's flat. Very different from where I'm from, enjoying the mountain air. The views are tremendous, to be able to see across miles and miles and miles. So I just enjoy being out with my family.
After trail users travel about 50 miles from the Mexican border, they reach the gateway community of Patagonia, where we are today. There's 33 gateway communities on the Arizona Trail, and each one of these helps not only the trail users to resupply and get back on the trail, but the trail users themselves bring a lot of money into these communities through resupply, places to stay, places to eat. It's a very important relationship between the trail users and the gateway communities.
It is important to us to grow the ecotourism as the base of our economy, and any increased activity that comes to the Arizona Trail will be of benefit to our community here at Patagonia, and people will enjoy being here. It's a win-win for everyone.